Hello, and welcome to March 28th, 2022. I'm Kurt, and this is my daily good life meditation. This is something that I do every morning to remind myself of my life objectives and principles, and to see how I did applying those to the challenges of yesterday, and to prepare for the coming day. So let's begin. Yesterday and last night, I slept really well last night, but did not wake up rested. But the good news is that I didn't wake up really other than pit stops. My insomnia didn't strike. I woke up when the alarm went off. It's been a long time since I recall that happening. It's been happening more and more lately, but at least with little tiny get-ups just before the alarm goes off. But this morning I stayed asleep all the way until the alarm. That's good. Yesterday was a good, fun day. Nico and I we got up, early. I always get up early, but she got up early, and we went to Irvine. We had a package that was delivered to our old apartment, so we were able to go pick that up. They delivered it to a delivery locker, so we just had the code and got in. And while we were there, we took care of Costco, and then we did IKEA, and we had lunch at Tanakaya, which is the restaurant, the soba joint that Emily used to work at. Then we went to Target, and then Tokyo Central, and came home. Miko made a really good dinner last night, and we watched episode 1 of season 2 of the Bridgerton show that we enjoyed the last season. It was good, and so we started the new season. Throughout all of that, no real challenges other than some fatigue. I was tired, and I think that was because Miko was tired too. We both agreed it was because of all the hiking around that we did on Saturday for all those yard sales. The most significant thing of yesterday was the amount of time that Miko and I spent discussing and doing tentative plans for our coming retirement. I know we're still some years off, but we're talking about Japan and how we're going to make our lives there, what we're going to do, how we're going to spend our time. It's fun. I like that. Now, and if it seems like I'm a little on edge this morning, it's because I'm a little on edge this morning. It's a full week, and I've got work on the mind, which is amazing that I didn't wake up, because I definitely have work on my mind. But I have everything. It's a funny thing. It's like a giant volcano going off, and the lava is coming down the mountain, and you gotta deal with that. Now, there's nothing you can do about the lava. It's coming, and it's gonna go where it will go. All I can do is really get out of the way, and that's how this week feels. Still, there's lava coming. I guess that's why they call this work. All right, let's do the good life. 7 objectives. These are: number 1, to always be ready to die. Number 2, to make good use of my time and to be effective in the things that I do. Number 3, to develop and maintain a good set of life objectives and principles. That's this very exercise that I'm doing now. Number 5 is to cultivate good emotional reactions. The next is to perform good actions. And number 7 is to just do one thing at a time, and to do that thing slowly. Now, my 30 principles. These are number 1, the principle of war, to always be fighting against things that I think are true and that others propose are true. 2, the principle of reason, and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, and doubt. which frame the way that I want to behave and live, so that I can be performing an effective evaluation of things in life. The third principle is called the Homunculus, which is my reminder that I'm mortal, and that there's nothing within me that seems to be immortal or eternal, or that will survive my death. Next is the Anchorhold. That's an add-on to the Homunculus. Whereas if the Homunculus suggests that I'm mortal, the Anchorhold suggests that I'm alone, and so are you. That we can communicate and reach out to one another, but our internal essence, this consciousness, is alone. There's nothing we can really do to be one another other than to semaphore across the void. Next is the home of good and evil, a suggestion that right and wrong, good and evil, the things that we value are little more than opinions, that they don't exist outside of us, they're not absolutes. Next is the principle of purpose. The three purpose in my life are biology, to reproduce, and to help my offspring grow into a viable adult. Next is to be a virtuous human being, where virtue is defined as doing things, saying things, and living in such a way that I help to improve the well-being of thinking creatures, the happiness of them, if you like. And then the third purpose is to share the message of my book, Going Alone. Yeah, I did. I switched things up a little. Yumiko helped me at IKEA yesterday. She found a little side table. I wanted to have a side table here so I could access my book and other things easily. And I had to move things around to make it fit. So, thus, ta-da! And Carl Sagan, he went on the wall. He's going to go on the wall over here. He's not there yet. Next is the atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces, falling to pieces, going to pieces. So too you and me. Next is the principle of nature. Everything has some particular nature, and it's good to recognize what that is. And then maturity, and the sub-principles of wisdom and fortitude, where wisdom is to remember our past successes and failures, and then fortitude is the strength to not repeat them, or at least not to repeat the failures. And I skipped over one, didn't I? Let's go back a hop to the pirate ride, which is my suggestion that free will is nothing more than a very convincing illusion. It doesn't really exist. And then back over maturity, and then to the social principle. We human beings need each other. We need one another to survive and thrive. And then public speaking. The fact that it's better to communicate carefully, slowly, deliberately, with few words and words which make sense. And to never ever gossip. Then comes temperance, and the sub-principles of suffering, simplicity, and apathy, where temperance suggests that we should control our consumption of everything in life, including time. That a life of little, of less, of considered, deliberated engagement is a better life. And then comes the horror show. The reminder that life is just chock full of horrible things happening all over the place all the time to everyone in various stages. And it's coming for you too, and me. and our pets, and all the animals out there in the world, all life. And then comes a principle called that which must be born. Born isn't carried. Then the thing which must be born is the fact of the horror show. Then comes the Feast of Offal, which is what happens when we are intemperate in our expression of our emotions. And we let the whole world have it, soiling them in the process, sharing our upset. We also engage in the Feast of Offal when others are doing that thing, and we choose to engage in an almost voyeuristic, it's rather disgraceful manner of, it's almost like going to watch an execution. And I'm bringing a snack, watching someone else suffer. It's exactly what it is. It's like going to Tiber Tree in England, sometime between what was it, 3 or 4 or 500 years that they were executing people there. 3-mile cart ride out to the Tiber Tree. That's what it's like to watch other people suffer in life, to note their suffering, and in a sense, maybe enjoy, if nothing else, just the fact that it's not us. I don't want to engage in that either. That's the Feast of Offal too. That really is the feast part of it. Next comes the principle of distraction. Oh, that reminds me, I've got a quote to add to the book. I was reading, I'm almost done with volume 1 of The Life of Johnson. I'm right at the end. That's what I got left. It's been a formidable, formidable is the right word, read. Anyway, there's this bit right here. I noted in yellow. It says, the whole of life is but keeping away the thought of death. Well put, Dr. Johnson. After this, I'll start volume 2. That's what distraction is. We distract ourselves from not just death, but the emptiness beyond death. You know, so many of us have convinced ourselves that there's some eternity awaiting us. That's part of the distraction too. I choose to not engage in that distraction, but to face the apparent fact of the great indifference which I have not observed out there in the deep desert, because there's nothing to see. Nothing to see here. Also, after distraction comes the great indifference. That's what we're trying to distract ourselves from. We don't want to see that. Well, we can't really see it. We don't want to not see it. We want to see anything but that. Next comes a little dog. Hi, Ruby. Hi, Ruby Ball. After distraction comes great indifference, and then the feast of best seat in the house. To not want to be anyone else, be anywhere else, or be doing anything else, but to be okay with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing. Then comes the Path of Wildness, way upward and forward into and through new life. That's what Yumiko and I are planning to do with our next step plans, our plans to retire and go back to Japan. We're planning another great life adventure, yet another. Then comes the risk of avoiding risk, the recognition that there are relatively speaking, easy challenges in life, like education and career and family, children and retirement. I say easy, but I know they're not easy. But they're easy compared to the more challenging risk or challenging thing, which is finding oneself, finding one's voice and purpose and meaning in life, or contriving a meaning of sorts, and then living that. That's hard to do compared to the others. At least the other ones have institutions, and your parents will support you. Institutions to encourage you, like school and banks and jobs, families. Finding oneself has sometimes there's little recourse to support in that capacity. You're kind of on your own. That's good to do. If you feel compelled to do so, do it young. That's what I'd recommend. Next comes the principle called sin and damnation. There are 7, maybe it's 8 sins in my worldview. The first 7 of them relate to relate to how we approach the truth. These are falsity, being untrue; credulity, believing things too easily; superstition, believing things that are practically defined as nonsense, rather categorically; then faith, which is believing things where we use the fact that we believe as the evidence to support the belief, which is nonsense; dogma, which is believing things because there's a canonical body of suggestions that that's true; authority, believing things because someone that seems to know what they're talking about or is admired by others says it's true; hope, believing things, or hope isn't even a belief, it's just wishful thinking. And then the last one is gossip. So the last, what is that, 8? And then the last 2 are not beliefs, but they're more like just ways of being. And the consequence of all of these is damnation in the here and now. Because we wind up doing and being and believing things that are maybe untrue or ineffectual. Next comes complete oblivion. If we have no soul, and if there is no God, then death is absolute. So we'll not see our loved ones after we die. We won't have any chance to reconnect and reconcile. And there'll be no final justice, because there's no afterlife, no justice giver. Next comes great life adventure. One or more experiences in life that got to keep an eye on. What are you sniffing at? Usually you don't want to go out really sniffing at the thing. The great life adventure is one or more adventures that go ahead and get in your little bed. I'll open the door in just a sec. They usually don't want to go down right now. He doesn't make out in his little bed. He was just sniffing around. The great life adventure is one or more experiences that really helps us to find ourselves. Remember I was saying before about the deep risk that not finding oneself? The adventure typically does that, or at least this allows us to invent ourselves in some way. And the season of philosophy is a time that comes when we might have some words to say. Better write them down, better say them, or they'll be gone. Not that it really matters much, but we like to tell ourselves it does. It gives life some seasoning. Then comes, after the season of philosophy, comes the uphill climb, the bullseye aim. We try to hit particular targets, but we usually miss by a little bit. And then the uphill climb. Life is a steady climb. Just up. But the view gets better the higher we go. Don't forget to turn around. Have a look. Looking at myself, telling myself that. Don't forget. Because I tend to just be focusing on my walk up, my climb, my trudge. Then comes arena and utility. Life is this experience where we have opportunities to live well, and the principles that we develop are tools that we use for that. And I like to keep them handy, like on a tool belt, not stashed away in a toolbox in the garage, but handy so I can use them here and now. Next comes nothing is enough, a suggestion that less is certainly better, and then, or usually better, and then we can make it better. And then lastly, the principle of fun, a reminder to enjoy life and have a good time. There, I've done it. That's my good life. So now the coming day. So I have, after this, I've changed things up. My other desk, I've got a journal writing desk over there. And I also use as a shipping desk when people buy books from the website. So I'm going to go over there and write in my journal, summary of yesterday. I'll upload this video. I'll read the Bible. Song of Solomon 3 or 4, is it? 3, I think. And then I will go downstairs. I'll feed the dogs, feed myself, and then get to work. As for challenges today, I think I only have one meeting on the books, and it's a training lesson that I'm going to do, which is pretty straightforward. I've been doing it now long enough. Oh, I need to add that slide. Yeah, I need to add something to it, which I'll do this morning. Thanks, Juan. All right, that's it. Have a good day. Be safe, but not too safe.